the Allah's creatures should not be obeyed if it involves disobedience to the Creator. So, Allah has commanded her to cover, she should do so, even with the displeasure of her father, or mother, or the whole family. She should go ahead and do it, because she is responsible before God. Now, if the father starts to beat her, and she starts to suffer, abuse, and it becomes impossible for her to live, there's threat of harm, physical harm, or whatever, then under such a circumstance, she may not cover. Of course, in her heart, she wants to cover. Allah will reward her for her intention to do so, and her parents will be punished for their prevention of her from doing so. So the burden is lifted from her in that sense. She's no longer able. But if she has the ability, and if she can bear the suffering, because of course there's going to be some suffering here, but knowing that any suffering she bears, seeking to please Allah, this will raise her in the sight of Allah, raise her status before God, it will remove her sins, it will be a means of great reward for her. It's a big struggle, and I pray that Allah gives you the strength to handle it. Another question, which is concerning women and covering, and this one states, while hearing the adhan, should a woman cover her head? Is it obligatory? Actually, there's nothing in Islamic teachings which specifies that a woman should cover her head when hearing the adhan. There's nothing at all. If a person does so because they feel that it is more humble or more whatever, they can do so privately and as an individual act. But for them to try to promote it to others, that others should do so, that this is more humble, or it's more religious, or it's more whatever, for them to do that, then this becomes a form of bid'ah, or innovation in Islam. Because if this was in fact something which made a person more humble, if it was something, in other words, which is more pleasing to Allah to do so, then Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would have been the first to tell us to do this. He told us in a very well-known hadith, مَا تَرَكْتُ شَيْئًا يُقَرِّبُكُمْ إِلَى اللَّهِ إِلَّا وَأَمَرْتُكُمْ بِهِ. I have not left anything which will bring you closer to Allah without instructing you to do it. So, if that is the case, and we cannot find any instructions in the Sunnah in which Prophet ﷺ has told us to do so, and Allah has already said in the Quran, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ, today I've completed for you your religion, then there is no way that this can become a part of religion today. It is not more pleasing to Allah. It's not more pleasing to Allah. It is not something which will bring you closer to Allah. It is in fact something which will take you away from Allah, because you will be innovating and introducing something into the religion. Now, as I said, if an individual woman decides that she wants to do this, as part of her preparation, for example, for Salah, etc., etc., there is no harm, but it should not be promoted. Further question, in terms of dress, we have the issue of men. Can men wear chains of silver or a bracelet or a ring? In terms of men's dress, for them to wear a ring, it would be permissible if it is not gold. Of course, the question here was, it just said a ring. Chains, they mentioned silver. However, to wear a chain or a bracelet, normally speaking, this is a chain around one's neck, a bracelet. This is normally the wear of women. If in a particular culture this was standard male dress, there are some cultures in which male dress does include some kind of ornamentation of this type, then there would be no harm. But in a culture where this is well known to be females' ornamentation, then for a man to go and do this is to imitate the dress of females. And Prophet ﷺ was very strong about prohibiting men from imitating the dress of females and females from imitating men in their dress. And in fact, on one occasion when it was brought to Aisha, the wife of Prophet ﷺ, one of the women said that, was it okay for her to wear her husband's shoes? These are obviously shoes which are men's style shoes. And Aisha reported that the Prophet ﷺ had said that Allah cursed the mannish woman and the womanish man. There's even something like this, meaning, of course, wearing them in the street, wearing them out. Of course, in the house, a woman looking for something to put on her feet, she needs something, and she puts on her husband's shoes, whatever, or wears them inside the house, no problem. But where she goes out with this particular style of dress, which is, in the case of shoes here, or in the case of any other part of the dress, which is typically male dress, then she would be told not to do so. Islamically, she should not do so. Another point on dress: how should we argue with girls who say that covering their head or hair is not a part of the Fard commandments? Well, the answer is quite simple, that Allah tells us in the Quran, tell the believing women to lower their gaze and to protect their private parts, and further to cast their headscarves over their bosoms. خُمُرِهِنَّ وَضْرِبْنَ بِخُمُرِهِنَّ عَلَى جُيُوبِهِنَّ, and they should put their headscarves over their chests, to cover their chest area. This is the headscarf. The khimar covers the head, covering all of the hair, and it is well known that nothing should be seen of her except for the circle of her face. Even the front part of her hair, because some people will wear a headscarf and then the front of the hair, their bangs or whatever, will be showing. This is not proper covering of the head. No, none of the hair should be showing. All of it should be completely covered. And also there are hadiths, Prophet ﷺ said, when a young girl reaches puberty, nothing should be seen of her except for her face and hands. Can women wear anklets of silver or gold? Now, an anklet of silver or gold, of course, inside of her home, for the attraction of her husband, before her parents, people who she cannot marry, there's no harm. But to wear it outside the home in the streets, this is a means of calling attention to her feet. And according to Islamic teachings, the feet should be covered. So for her to wear anklets, which will then attract people to want to look at her feet, because that's what's the purpose of the anklet, but to draw attention to one's feet. Then it means that they are exposing a part of themselves, or drawing attention to a part of themselves, which is not supposed to be exposed. So the woman should really not do so, except in home circumstances where the people present are people from her maharim, or people who she cannot marry. With that, dear viewers, I'd like to thank you for being with us in this segment of our program, In the Light of Islam. We hope that you will continue to follow the program as it is presented on a weekly basis throughout the rest of the year. And just to remind you that you can write into us, to me, Dr. Bilal Phillips, at P.O. Box 111, that's in Sharjah Television, P.O. Box 111, Sharjah, UAE, that is the United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.